Guys, this is Tony Ponce, Associate Editor of Destructoid.com, and I am here with the creator of Regular Show, as well as the voice of Mordecai the Blue Jay, JG Quintel. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me
on. Pretty good. I have to hand it to you. You somehow convinced the Cartoon Network executives that your show is for children. I don't know how you did that. You must have pulled some strings somewhere.
Smoke and mirrors. No.
So how much longer do you think you'll be able to get away with that?
Well, it's a little unfortunate because the beginning of the show definitely was more aged up than it is now. At the beginning, when they were first looking for shorts, they had said, we're looking to age up the network, and so we really pushed like as hard as we could to see what we could get away with. And at the beginning, we actually got away with quite a bit. Nowadays, there's certain things that we aren't going to get to say anymore, although we always find it funny because it's like they'll still air those old episodes even though they have those
right.
those buzzwords that they're not so into anymore.
Yeah, they did see 2 a.m. in the p.m. And
yes.
They said,
yes.
You know what? That will be great for our kids.
Well, it wasn't so much that. I think what they saw, because I showed them the short, I said, hey, I hear you're trying to do aged-up stuff. This is kind of the vein that I'm looking to go in, and then there was the happy medium to be found. But I think the core of 2 a.m. p.m. is still there, where it's just buddies working, at a lame job, and the kind of
minus the drug use and cursing.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, that would be inappropriate.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that, there was a recent episode, it was just one big spoof of Weekend at Bernie's. No kid is going to pick up that reference. So, yeah, you're going after those 80s babies. It's okay, but you're going after those 80s babies.
Yeah, again, it's it made us laugh, so we're like, well, people are going to like it, that think like us, so let's do it. And just the idea of dragging around a lifeless Benson at a party just sounded really funny to us. And
he's not dead, kids.
He's not dead. He's just passed out. We got to make sure that's clear up top.
Well, anyway, yeah. So there are just tons of those little references. You got shout-outs to TV shows, music from the 80s, and of course the 80s was also that renaissance period of video games, which is really what I want to discuss with you today. Last year, I wrote this article, I posted it up on Destructoid, talking about all the little nods to retro video games that Regular Show just peppers in everywhere. And I noticed all these little things. It just speaks to that gamer language that you don't see a lot of TV shows do. A lot of TV shows will have those one and done, quote unquote, very special episodes where they treat video games as some kind of harmful addiction, and that they just cover it and it's like, okay, there you go, we satisfied your video game cravings. Now enough of this garbage. Move on to something else. But with Regular Show, they're you guys have made it part of the DNA of the show, and that's something that you guys are a minority of. And I really appreciate that.
Well, I remember growing up, video games, that was a huge part of my life. I played video games all the time growing up, and our first system was a Sega Master System. So that explains a bit of that.
To you? It's huh? What? You don't have an NES? I'm just kidding.
What was awesome was that we were the only kids that I knew that had it, so a lot of our friends wanted to come over because they all had Nintendo. So it was yeah, you could go over to their house to play Nintendo and then come to our house to play Sega, and it was we had everything covered at that point.
Oh, yeah, I'm really surprised that when it came to putting an actual console into the show, you didn't make up something, you went with something that was really personal to you, and more people would have recognized the NES. But you said, no, it's got to be a Master System.
I was fully supporting the Master System. I mean, we changed it enough, but you can tell, like, that's around what it is. Like, it would always bother me in other cartoons where they would show a game system, and I'm like, what is that? That's nothing. It's a box with controller cords coming out of it. Like, come on, give us something. And, yeah, with the Sega, there were just so many good memories of all the games on that thing, and, like, I remember my brother and I one time, like, accidentally turning it on without a game in it and finding out that there was a game built in it, and we're like, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah, that was the maze game. I forget what that was called.
It was like a little, like, snail maze game. It was weird, but it was really cool.
Yeah. I didn't actually have it, but I played it all the time, like, over at one or two people's houses.
Nice.
What games did you play?
Well, on that...
Double Dragon, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, we had Double Dragon. We had, oh, man, what was that one called? It was, Time Zone? No. Time Soldiers.
Time Soldiers?
That one was really fun. Yeah, it was like a two-player, like, dudes walking around, like, shooting aliens and stuff, getting power-ups and things over the top.
Oh, that's what it's all about, yeah.
Walk up. Yeah, and you'd warp. Like, you'd hit warps randomly sometimes, and it would take you to a crazy boss or, like, different levels. And Shinobi, I remember liking that. Thunderblade. Psycho Fox was really fun. There was a lot. There were just so many games. We would get one. We'd, like, beg our parents to get us one, and we'd beat it in a couple of hours, and we'd be like, we want another one. They'd be like, you serious?
What, you mean you did stretch it out over the course of 3 months?
No, we just play it until it was crushed. And then there was games like, you know, R-Type, where you're like, this is impossible. Like, you could only get, like, so far before it just got way too hard.
Oh, jeez. There was, in, like, one of the earlier episodes of the series, Death Punches. Yeah, it was Death Punches. And they were, Mordecai and Rigby, they were about to play Dig Champs. And they're, like, comparing the box art to the game screen. It's like, oh, the graphics, they look so realistic. And I'm looking at that box art, and the first thing that crossed my mind was, oh, hey, Sega Master System. Second thing that crossed my mind was, what the hell? That's not a Master System box. Master System boxes are, like, these, like, weird, ugly graph paper affairs with, like, a foot in the corner.
Well, they'd have some good stuff with some pretty sweet paintings on the covers. It was like always on that white grid paper.
Yeah,
so that you knew it was a Master System game. But
like,
yeah, pretty much all systems tried to pull that with the like sweet paintings just to like get you to really want it really bad, and then you'd play it and it was like not really happening.
No. Oh, jeez. So, do you still follow video games, or is that just like a thing that you did back then and you sort of like fell off the wagon?
Not as much now, just because of how busy the show is to produce it. It's like an all day, every day kind of a deal just to keep up with production, and we're really like picky about getting it exactly how we want it. And I just haven't had a whole ton of time to play video games as of late, which is unfortunate, but you know, it just turns into one of those things where you're like, I can't justify it because I have so many things that I have to do.
Well, that's understandable, but I mean, you do target that one area, that one era, and at least you're well versed in that. So it's not like you're just, I've read a magazine once. I think I know what I'm talking about.
No, and it always gets really specific with the animation too, where it's like, no, they're not even pressing the buttons right. They got to press the buttons like this. And you know, it's like I've seen so many cartoons where they like put it in and it's just like it doesn't work. You're like, that's not even what it would be. Like that's not how you play games.
Yeah, they're like chewing on the controller. They're smacking it over their heads. Like that
and also just like the way people play. You know what I mean? Totally, like people would play like games, and you'd see, you know, there's different types of gamers. There's like the guy who thinks that moving the controller in the air is actually doing something, but it isn't. And then there's the guy who's like completely deadpan, not moving at all, because he's just like completely in control of what's going on. And like I feel like I try to get like Mordecai and Rigby to be those two guys, you know.
Yeah, it's good because with Mordecai and Rigby, it's like video games is not all they do. I mean, it's a big part of their lives, but it's like just part of their routine. It doesn't define them entirely, but it does define a part of them, which is something that a lot of other shows seem to like forget. They're like, it's an addiction. Like there was like one episode of Doug on Nickelodeon?
I do remember Doug.
Yeah, there's like one episode where he goes into an electronics store and he's like the 1,000th customer or whatever. He gets a Super Pretendo with Space Monks, a Space Star Fox game, whatever. And he's just like strung out on it for days. He doesn't do any of his homework. He's just like mumbling and grumbling. At the end of the episode, it's like, okay, that's it. I'm putting the video game away forever. Like, no, that's the extreme. Why? It's so extreme.
I know, it's unfortunate because, well, I think that's where it like also comes into play. I mean, you're obviously going to push stuff in cartoons, but I mean, in real life, video games tend to be like the equivalent of like reading a book or watching a TV show. It's just a different form of entertainment. But I think a lot of adults, like, because they never grew up with it, they think it's a waste of time. But you know, really, it's kind of the same thing. It's just more interactive, and I don't know. It's funny to see when people like try to demonize it or something like it's horrible. It's just everything in moderation.
Yeah, we're at that point where all the people who grew up in the 80s and were part of that renaissance, they're now old enough to control the content on TV, and they decide to just incorporate that into the television media. Like, you got shows like, regular show, of course, then Adventure Time, and like to a little lesser extent, Amazing World of Gumball. Like, all of you guys, you sort of from that era, and okay, it's time to step it up. So yeah, all we gotta do is wait for all the old people to die, and
or introduce them to video games and get them to try it out.
But we've done that, and then it always ends up bad. They always say, "Oh, I played it for 5 minutes, and now I'm gonna put a bill in the house that'll make them put a label on every game that says video games can cause you to flip out and kill your parents or something."
Oh no!
They don't care. They don't care. Whatever. He'll die. It's okay. This took a turn for the dark.
I know.
So you do a lot of video game references. So of course, the next step would be an actual video game. And I know you guys, Cartoon Network has all those little flash games on the site. Of course, they're fun little diversions. We took one of them, Night Marathon. They made an iPhone game of it. Just the same thing, only 99 cents now. And but if there were to be a regular show game, what would you see it as? I can't think of it.
I think my two like favorite two of my favorite games, or games I really like playing growing up, even like arcade style games, would either be like a game that was between 1 and 4 players, cooperative, where you're like side-scrolling and fighting, kind of like the Simpsons game in the arcade, or the Ninja Turtles game, or the X-Men game, so that it's just like go through a bunch of scenarios of them like beating up guys and getting to a main boss and then fighting your way through it and then moving on to the next level. I feel like that would be pretty fun to play with friends, especially if there was like maybe a way to make the moves a little bit more complex so it wasn't just punching, but like if you actually had some skill and knew how to press the buttons right, you could do more powerful moves. So I guess that would kind of like slightly incorporate Street Fighter style, having moves that are specific to the characters so it's not so generic.
Or kind of Rigby tag team, they pull out the keyboard and start, singing songs and things happen.
That kind of stuff would be rad. And like I always really liked games that were more skill-based and weren't just based off of you, like, mashing the hell out of the buttons, because it was like, that's not fun. It's better if, like, you can tell the difference between somebody who knows what they're doing and somebody who doesn't. The other type of game that I think would be really fun is maybe, like, a ToeJam and Earl style game, where they're just kind of, like, walking around the park and, like, hanging out, and then, like, you can split screens and, like, leave each other. but you're basically just like something where they're looking for something over these like different levels of the world, and it feels like regular show would be pretty well suited for a platform like that.
Regular show would be ToeJam and Earl. That would be ToeJam and Earl. Totally, I could see that. I rented that
and
one weekend.
Characters.
I don't think I played it properly at all. I think I just like goofed around. Like in the very beginning, you're on this like little tiny island, and you're supposed to go into this elevator and go to the next zone or whatever. But I ran across the ocean instead for some I don't know what possessed me. And then there was like a hot tub, and so I just like hung out in the hot tub, and I was like, yeah. I don't know why. Just do it there. It's, okay, yeah, sounds good.
And it just had fun music, and it's just like you're just sitting, hanging out, playing a game that, you know, is really kind of like, I don't know, it's like a relaxing game. There's nothing like terribly crazy about it where you're like, oh, this is stressing me out, you know. But then as you go like higher in the levels, it gets more difficult, and there's all the like different characters wandering around that you have to avoid, and I don't know. It's a cool concept that I think would fit well with regular show if they ever get it.
Oh, yeah. That's going to happen. Regular show is going to be the new ToeJam and Earl. Mark it down.
Excellent.
I just read next week's episode. Video Game Wizard.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to guess Mordecai is Jimmy Woods. No, I'm sorry. Ricky is Jimmy Woods. Mordecai would be Fred Savage's character. So then I want to know who is Christian Slater and Bo Bridges.
Let's go with Skips and I can't think of the other one, but I'll say that based off of your guess, you're close, but you're not close enough. It is going to be different. We showed a clip though. We showed a clip at WonderCon, and it was pretty cool to see people react to it because, you know, we don't really get to watch the episodes in front of people very often, and we just showed a short clip, and getting to hear people laugh was really cool. But there was also a moment that was like, oh, that's messed up, and everybody kind of verbally reacted to that moment, and that was really cool to hear because it felt like, oh, they actually care about the characters. So that episode is going to be pretty cool and like nostalgia heavy.
Oh my goodness! So does that make Margaret Jenny Lewis?
It would. In that instance, it would. If you were really making the like literal parallels.
Have you seen Jenny Lewis lately? She's
nice. The lead singer of Rilo Kiley.
Yeah, she looks nice. I'm happy for her.
I don't know what happened. Her band was really good.
Yeah. Good for them.
That was his one and done for films. I don't know.
So
he will always be known as the kid who said California.
Someone's gonna say it's so bad during the episode. I know. I'm guessing, but I'm probably guessing.
You're gonna have to watch it on Monday.
I'm gonna have to watch it. So by the time this interview gets posted, it'll probably April 3rd will probably be past, or it will be April 3rd, and that's when the DVD comes out, right? Slack Pack.
Yes.
Yes.
The Slack Pack, the first regular show DVD to be released.
Yeah, it's not like just the first season. Because I got sent a copy. It's got a few episodes mixed from, just pulled from all the different seasons, right?
Yeah, that one, what we did was, because we knew that they didn't want to do a full season to start, and we wanted, so they let us pick, they wanted 12 episodes, so we kind of like picked our favorites from the first 2 seasons, and ones that we thought were crowd favorites along with our personal favorites, and so we tried to pick a good balance because it gets hard to choose with that many episodes, and we wanted to try to include something that like everybody would want to pick it up because it would be on there. And yeah, I think it's a good spread, especially if it's your first time getting into the show. It's got a good chunk to kind of introduce you to all the characters. Yeah,
I'm so happy Over the Top is on there. Can never get enough Rigby Murder. Over the Top.
Oh, yeah. Also a heavy 80s nostalgic episode.
Oh, jeez. And they're like, oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Oh, and then he does, like, the grip. I'm like, ah. Yes. Yes. But yeah, kill rape me more often. That's always a good idea.
He's got that knack for dying. He's constantly getting in, like, comas or dying or whatever.
So, regular show is video games. Is that what I can take from all this?
It is a big portion of it. I would say regular show is video games mixed with 80s movies and TV shows and 80s music, for sure. It's just
and
like a big...
pretend like none of the other decades happened.
You know, you get little sniffs of them here and there. You, like, see some technology that might not have been in the 80s, but you realize, like, they're probably around right now. It's just that there's, like, a time warp wherever they are.